Donald Trump is in Alaska for a weekend rendezvous with his bestie Vladimir Putin, and that story is sucking all of the oxygen out of the newsrooms right now. But there's another story that isn't going anywhere and will continue to haunt him long after he returns, and that's the sensational saga about his former bestie Jeffrey Epstein. In this breaking story, the Rolling Stone has just dropped a bombshell that reveals the DEFCON 5 panic that is going on behind those newly gilded White House doors. The subheadline of the article reads, "The President and his administration are struggling to bury the scandal around their handling of the convicted sex offenders case." And in just a minute, I'll reveal the headline that includes the word privately and the behind-the-scenes melting down over, get this, the victims. But first, some context via one of the reporters who broke the story. Let's begin with a bit of background with regards to the victims. Since Donald Trump is innocent per his own claim and leader of the United States, he would be careful, considerate, and full of compassion towards those who are violated by the man he called a creep, right? Think again.
It sort of sounds from your reporting like Donald Trump sees himself as the victim here and not all the survivors who were personally impacted by Epstein.
Absolutely. And that is par for the course for this president. Whatever is going on the political or personal landscape, he always values casting himself as the victim, as the besieged one. Even in a situation as black and white as this, when it's pretty clear who the survivors are and who the victims and alleged victims and the accusers are, for something especially so heinous as what we've come to know with regards to the Jeffrey Epstein saga. And one of the things that got us onto reporting this out is that public-facing, Trump is often very garrulous in how he insults his enemies, big and small, who come after him or who, if he feels like they're coming after him, especially when he's sitting as leader of the free world. There is no low level to punch down that is too low for him. But for some reason, he was conspicuously silent about these families and these individual accusers. So we set out to figure out, okay, with our sources in and out of the administration, what is he saying privately? How is he viewing these media campaigns from these different families and from these different accusers? And as you put in your intro, when you reference our reporting, it's not a positive one. He is getting really, really annoyed in recent weeks with these individuals, accusing them of being essentially Democratic operatives, coordinating with supposedly this liberal media and liberal lawyer ecosystem that he thinks is just out to get him and make him look bad and imply to the public that maybe he did something wrong or super fishy or whatever during his years of palling around with country's most notorious pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. So again, when it comes to the character and politicking of Donald Trump, sadly, par for the course.
So what's the meltdown that Rolling Stone is reporting? Donald Trump, who sees himself as the victim in all of this, is pointing his accusing finger at his alleged abuser. Have a listen to their account of his twisted logic and who he identifies as victimizing him.
We have new reporting from Rolling Stone on how Donald Trump views the women who have come forward. Trump has said that some of these people speaking out are, in his words, clearly of a Democrat political affiliation, and has repeatedly critiqued the string of media appearances by Epstein accusers and their families, arguing that some of them are just trying to make him look bad. Swin Soupsang is one of the reporters who broke that story. He is a senior political reporter at Rolling Stone. I've interviewed some of the survivors. They've come on many of our shows here at MS. And then I've also listened to many of them, read their interviews, and they're incredibly straightforward most of the time. It's basically, we would love if you included us in the process. Mm-hmm. We'd like to be notified about what's going on. Could you contact our lawyers perhaps before you go down to a prison in Florida and maybe make a deal? Please treat us with some respect. And perhaps if there's something to be learned from these documents that you once said you would release, we'd like to see them too. I mean, those aren't really partisan requests. Those seem like very standard asks from people who've been incredibly harmed.
Right. And for a president of the United States who is as obsessed with so-called public relations as this one, you think that he and his administration would put better care in terms of even private or gentle communications with these families and their attorneys and these survivors and these accusers. As far as we can tell, they are mostly keeping them at arm's length. There is obviously a ton of secrecy within the past month plus with this shambolic blowback and handling within the administration of the whole Epstein saga. And instead of focusing on, as you were pointing out, trying to approach these very straightforward, very understanding, very human stories with any modicum of care, of course, this president and this administration are instead leaning into things like trying to wield the nation's intelligence and vast federal law enforcement apparatus to try to change the subject to maybe we should think about putting Barack Obama or James Comey in jail for a completely made-up scandal that Donald Trump would much rather talk about than the Epstein saga.
Rolling Stone cuts right to the core of Trump's moral bankruptcy. The fact that he's privately stewing over Epstein's victims, not because of the crimes committed against them, but because they dare speak out, is as revealing as it gets. In Trump's world, every story is about him, and your feelings don't matter, even if you've suffered abuse. The contempt he shows for the survivors is staggering. The story here isn't just Trump's lack of empathy, it's the attempted muting of these women. When the administration downplays their trauma, hides key evidence, and even claims that Ghislaine Maxwell might be the victim, it sends a chilling message that Trump's political survival and persona trumps everything. These victims aren't Democrats or Republicans, they're human beings who were violated and exploited and denied justice by the institutions sworn to protect them. And yet, as much as Trump and his team tries to bury the Epstein story under layers of distraction and deflection, the story won't die. Survivors are refusing to be silenced, and every attempt he makes to dodge accountability only makes interest in the scandal grow. Trump may feel like he's playing good defense with a good offense, but he's fanning the flame he's desperate to contain. And to that I say, sir, keep up the good work. I'm Dan. Thanks for watching. Please leave your thoughts with a comment below, and let's continue to occupy democracy together.
I hate Occupy Democrats.